welcome to episode 57 of the HHH Racing Podcast and the first segment of Pick Fives at the Spa. I'm your host, Howard Kravitz. Thanks for joining me tonight. Hope you had a great day at Saratoga, opening day. I personally had some mixed results, but we'll talk mainly about tomorrow's Pick 5. That's what the show is going to be about every time. 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central right now, the night before a race day at Saratoga, the HHH Racing Podcast will be having a live stream. That's me right here covering the late Pick 5 at Saratoga the following day. So we're going to discuss the late Pick 5 on Friday at Saratoga. Now, these shows are going to be much shorter. Thanks so much for joining me, by the way. Really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe right there on the right side of the screen. And also hit that notification bell after you subscribe so you know when new content will arise. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at hkravitz, and also you can email me hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. But again, this show, Pick Fives at the Spa, is going to cover the late Pick 5 at Saratoga the following day. We also are going to take questions, so please make sure on the right side of the screen there you type in information about the chat. How'd you do today? Tell us how you did today. Any thoughts about the races today at Saratoga? Any thoughts about the races tomorrow at Saratoga? We already have people on the show. Trish, thanks for joining the show. Yeah, I didn't have a chance to go to the happy hour show today. I was a little bit busy, but hopefully you were successful. Joe is already on the show. Joe, thanks for joining. And Michael Bryant, thanks so much for joining the show as well. Have you asked, can I post a past blog? Sure, Michael, I actually already did that. I think you asked me on Twitter about that, and I did post, I did send out a tweet that had a copy of my race day blog, but I will try to send that to you again, Michael, through a DM. I believe you're on Twitter, so I'll go ahead and try to do that. Michael said that he was 4 out of 6 in the pick 6. Listen, there were some tough races, especially at the end. We're not going to talk too much about what happened today. Our focus on this show is, this is going to be a much shorter show than my featured show. This is going to be less than half an hour. But the main purpose of our show is going to be talking about the late pick 5 tomorrow. I personally had some mixed results today at Saratoga. Had some good success early in the card. The dirt was playing, I don't know if it was speed favoring or not, but certainly there were very few horses that closed from far back. There were 4 two-year-old races. You have to keep that in mind today. So 2-year-olds in general are not going to close as much as older experienced horses. So I'm not going to say the dirt was speed favoring. It was pretty slow surface. What pissed me off, for lack of a better word, was the usual grab on the turf. Every turf race was a slow pace, won by someone who was up close to the pace, just stalking in the pocket. I had some clever opinions. Some of those horses were closers. They absolutely had no chance in those turf races. I really hope there's going to be more aggression out there. So I don't know. We'll see what happens on the turf, but you'd like to see more aggression by some of these jockeys for sure. We'll see what happens going forward. Very briefly, you see on the bottom of the screen there, next Thursday, a week from tonight, I'm going to have derbyologist Craig Johnson, who has an excellent Twitter account and YouTube channel as well. He'll be on the show next Thursday. But again, on the bottom of the screen, if you're not familiar with the show, we'll be talking about late pick 5s tomorrow. So let's jump right into it. And again, please feel free to ask questions also on the right side of the screen. I will be answering questions. I'm going to try to leave 5 minutes at the end of the broadcast to take particular questions you might have as well. I also, before we start, I want to recognize Richard. Richard, thanks for joining the show. He wants to know who's going to be the hot trainers for the first half of the meet? Hard to say. Um, you mentioned Amos. Amos had a good day today. He obviously won one of the two-year-old races with Microbiomi, a horse I really liked, and I put it out there on Twitter. That was the race two. It's really hard to say, Richard, what's going to happen. Who's going to be sort of the hot trainer other than the obvious. We'll just have to see um, how things go. So let's go ahead and jump right into the pick five sequence. Again, this is going to be a shorter live stream. But again, if you enjoy Saratoga, call some friends, tell them to hop on YouTube right now for the show. We're going to run this show as long as there's interest. If I only have a very small amount of people watching live and then also very few people watching the replay, obviously I'm not going to continue with the show. Our featured show here on the Racing Podcast has been fantastic. And overall, the channel's been awesome. So we'll try something new and we'll see what happens. I believe there will be interest. So let's go ahead and talk about the first race of the sequence, which is race 6, as I go ahead and put up my picks. Now, on the main show, I don't put up ABC selections, but I will be doing that here on uh, the shows on at 9 o'clock Eastern, the pick fives at the spa, because you don't have a chance to see any race day blogs. So there's my A's, B's, and C's for the first leg. Let's go ahead and jump right in to the sequence. This first race, race 6, and you can see it starts at about 3:55 Eastern time tomorrow. By the way, Del Mar also opens tomorrow. So I'm a fan of West Coast racing as well, but I'm going to focus more on Saratoga here on this channel for right now. Race 6, it's for fillies, statebreds, babies. They're going 5.5 furlongs. I was very successful with my baby races today, and I think one of the main reasons is because I do a lot of research and information. My top choice in this race are the 2 and the 4. Number 2, Let Her Inspire You, cost $500,000 for a New York bred. That is a boatload of money. Trained by Todd Pletcher, has excellent works, especially the last one, which was a 47-4 breezing out of the gate. This horse is out of Practical Joke, which is a new sire this year. And if you want to see how successful Practical Joke is, take a look at this. First time starters for Practical Joke, and this is his first crop. How about 4 for 10? 40%. This horse has been firing out of the gate. We remember Practical Joke was a very nice grade 1 winner, won $1.8 million. If you want to see some of the babies that have run, there's a horse called Wit who is running Saturday in the 2-year-old stake race, who ran huge. For Repole, is he stand-up comic also won. She's a Wild Joker also won. So listen, no question about it. The Practical Jokes are coming out firing. Caribbean Lady is is the dam, and she's out of Spitestown. So you've got plenty of breeding here for Johnny V. This is China Horse Club. That's CHC. Does not stand for Chicago. So anyway, this horse has major connections. I think the 2 is going to be very live tomorrow. Let the board be your guide. All right, as usual, let the board be your guide, because the money talks in a lot of these races. I think the 2 is going to take a lot of money. The other horse I like is Can't Hurry Love, which was not in a hurry out of the gate the first time. Now, Can't Hurry Love was also racing against number 7, November Rain. And I do want to show the replay. We're not going to show nearly as many replays as the normal show, the hour plus long show. But I do want to show you the replay of the November Rain and Can't Hurry Love. They're the 7 and the 8. I'm just going to go ahead and let this run. What you're going to see in this race is the 8 November Rain, who is the 7 tomorrow. Broke very well, but you're going to see the 7 horse really lagged behind. You can see that right there as I go ahead and make this full screen. So the 8 is up close battling with a 60-1 shot that, on the outside. Meanwhile, the 7 is way back, and I mean way back in here. So the 7 obviously needs to show a lot more speed tomorrow. Again, the 7 in this race is the 4 tomorrow. The 8 right here, November Rain, is the 7 tomorrow. So obviously you want to show speed. You have to decide, did this race just completely collapse? Or did the 7 Can't Hurry Love right here was just slow out of the gate and just sort of needed to start and ran on big? That's what you're going to have to decide. I think you can make the argument the 8 actually ran a better race. You see the 8 battled early and now is battling late. And you're going to see Can't Hurry Love come in the picture here very late in the game with a very nice close and also a big gallop out. So let's go ahead and watch here. As you see, the 8 is tiring. There's the 7 right there, making up a ton of ground. And as you see on the gallop out, which I do think is important in certain races, you'll see the gallop out here in a moment. There's a gallop out. You see, Can Hurry Love is already way past November Rain. So you have to decide, what you think of that race. Um, you can certainly make a strong argument that November Rain is the better horse. I have no argument there with you. I just have a feeling that number 4, Can't Hurry Love, is going to, get out of the gate better. But I also have a feeling that the number 2, Let Her Inspire You, the first time starter, might be better than both of them. And the other first time starter, the 5 for Chad Brown, this is this is by Speightster out of a Freud mare. Only cost 37,000. I'm using her as a B. So in the first leg, I'm going to go 2-4, the Pletcher Firster, and the horse that was closing there. Can't Hurry Love is my A's. I'm going to go 5-7 is B's. I have no C's. I'm not really interested in anyone else in the first leg of the sequence. Let's go ahead to the next leg. This is race 7. This is 5.5 furlong turf sprint for older fillies and mares, 3-year-old and up. N1X, you see the great purse, $103,000 is the purse. As I put my picks up there on the screen, you see the A's are 4 and 6, my B's are 2 and 10, and my C's are 8 and 11. As I did go ahead and spread. There is a comment. James, thanks for joining the show. James wanted to see a gate work for Can't Hurry Love. It's a valid point, James. I'm not, the strange thing is Can't Hurry Love didn't necessarily break slow, Jim, I thought. I just thought she was sort of slow in a stride and just not, a fast horse early. So I'm not sure if it was the gate or if she's just naturally going to be a little bit slower out of the gate and just won't show as much early speed. I don't disagree with you completely. Richard also has the stat from the last one. This is the last race. The sire of the 6 is 4 for 12 with 2-year-olds. Good point. Let's go ahead back, actually. Let me go back to that race real quick, Richard, because I want to give you credit. That's Hello Charlie. You saw a Classic Empire. Yeah, Classic Empire, I think wants to go longer, but yes, 4 out of 12, and you see the prodigy of Classic Empire have gone off to good starts, but I do want you to notice that these buyers are a little bit slower. So that is a good point. You could use the 6 if you like also. Listen, you can go a lot of ways in that first leg. Let the board be your guide for sure. But again, back to the sprint. I'm going to go with 6-4-2 on my top choices. Let me go ahead and show you what I think here. So I realize fully that I'm going with a horse, Mused, who's 6-1 morning line is my top choice. That's a closer. And right now, the way things are on the turf in New York, I'm hesitant to take any horse that comes from behind. But take a look at this race. I mean, if there's not speed in this race, I don't know what to say. Too Sexy is not a speed horse, the 2. Mumbai needs to be up close, 104 early time for him. Miner's Queen, who by the way is my other A horse, has serious speed, 115 early time for him. Spin a Yarn only knows one way, 126 early time for him, a major speed threat. Madam McLean, not a huge speed, but prefers to be up close. You have Rivendell, who's going to show speed. And then American Goddess for IRAD, you would think would have to show some speed. Here's my point. There sure looks like there's going to be speed in this race. There almost has to be. I like Muse in this spot, 6-1 for Eddie Keneally, a 3-year-old filly. Castellano, who has not been great lately. I will admit that. I'm not going to show the last race, but Muse got off slow, was 4 wide. She's been working well since. I think Castellano's going to have this horse in the right spot. If the pace develops, I think it will. I like Muse at a bit of a price in the second leg. I'm also using Miner's Queen for Asmussen and Santana, who battled to a very fast pace last time and still won. Has a work here at Saratoga over the training track on the dirt. I think this is the best speed. So, in my opinion, I'm taking the best speed and I'm taking the best closer as my top choice in this race. I'm also going to use the 2 as a B horse. I do not like 1 for 8 with 4 seconds. So if you're wondering why I don't have the 2 as an A, it's because I don't like a horse that has 4 seconds. This horse doesn't appear to want to go to the winner's circle, but obviously she can win. She's also already a 4-year-old, so I prefer lighter raced horses. And the 10 interests me a little bit here also. Rivendell, this is a horse ridden by Johnny V for Mott. Also has been off a little bit, but I don't mind that. This is another 4-year-old filly who I think will get a nice stalking trip. So I'm also have the 8. I have 11 as a C, and I have Zia's Song as a C for Staffy Joseph and Tyler. But I'm mainly going to lean on Muse, the 6, and Miner's Queen, the 4, in this race. This race should be on turf. The weather tomorrow should be okay. Chance of thunderstorms. We'll have to see, what happens. They did take one race today off the turf, just to let you know. Jim has another comment. Oh, sorry, Jeff. Jeff, thanks for joining the show. Dr. Moore. Dr. Jeff won a race. If you're not following Belmont, I think it was was it Saturday or Sunday? Dr. Moore. I think it was Saturday. I can't recall. A horse named Dr. Jeff, a 2-year-old, won, and I put it on Twitter jokingly that Jeff Moore owned the horse, but of course he doesn't. But anyway, congratulations to your namesake, Jeff, for winning. You talking about workout reports? Bruno's. I prefer Bruno personally. Welsh is good, but I don't think he gives as much information. I prefer Bruno. Personally, Jim likes Bruno also. Again, I do get workout reports. I don't get them every day. It sort of depends on it. I'm mainly looking to see if there's a lot of baby races. I'll take a look at workouts. I do also have access to XB TV workouts, which is why I liked Microbiome. Today I showed that on my show, some 2-year-old workouts. So, yeah, definitely looking at workout reports are valid. That's how I see race 2, a sprint race, or actually race 7, excuse me, the second leg. Let's talk about the third leg of the sequence. They're going 6 furlongs on the dirt, 3-year-old restricted fillies, $40,000 claimers in this race. And again, I am going 2 deep as my A's. Let me go ahead and switch my screen over so you can see my picks. There are my picks for race 8. My A's are 6 and 8. My top choice is the 6. I'm going to use the 5 horse as a B, and my C's, I'm going to go 1-7. Let's go ahead and take a look at this race. We have a lot of people watching. Thanks you so much for joining the show and watching. Please make this a regular time. Again, it's going to be a shorter show. Anyone you know that enjoys Saratoga, get them on the horn. Tell them to join the HHH Racing Podcast. Pick 5 at the Spa show, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on this channel every night before a race day at Saratoga. Let's go talk about this race here. Easy to Bless. Could have been my lone A in this race. What you have to decide to do in this race is there's 2 very solid horses. The problem is they both show a lot of speed. You got Rosario and Easy to Bless for Michael Maselli. This horse, she's very good right now. Claimed for $32,000, 2 starts back. Won a starter allowance last time after battling into pretty fast fractions at Belmont. This horse is very good right now. She's got a huge shot. The issue is the other horse that I like is also in fine form, and that is the 8, Patty F. Also, of course, a 3-year-old filly who won by 6 3/4 last time, but that was at Indiana Grand in the slop. If you had to ask me right now which horse do I like better, I would say I like the 6 better. I think she's coming out of better, tougher races at a better circuit. But certainly the 8 figures to get a nice stalking trip. The break is obviously going to be huge in this race. There's not a ton of early speed other than the 6 and 8. As you just go ahead and scroll down the field, the 5 is not speed. The 4 will show some speed, but does not appear to be as quick, although it is blinkers on from the Notable brothers. The 3 will show some speed, but not as quick. The 2 might show some speed, not as quick. And the 1 might show some speed, but not as quick. I do have one clever opinion, at least I think it's clever in this race. There is a lot of speed in this race. I'm going 6-8 with my A's because I think one will probably clear off early and win, and whoever doesn't clear off, the other one will just be sitting close. However, here's my clever opinion. This is one of my long shots of the pick 5 sequence. It is the number 5, Malibu Luna. Remember that name. Race 8 tomorrow. Malibu Luna. Now, let me talk about her just a little bit, if I may. Yes, she looks very slow. I know what you're thinking. Howard, you had way too much drinking today watching Saratoga. You're exhausted. Something's wrong. This horse has buyers in the mid 50s compared to Easy to Bless, who's in the mid to high 70s, and Patty H, who's in the mid, 70s. So, how do you figure that the 5 has a chance in this race? There is quite a bit of speed in this race. I believe Malibu Luna is one of the few horses in this race that can rate and pass. She did it last year as a 2-year-old, breaking her maiden. And her other 2 starts, I know they were slow, but again, she was stalking the pace. The last race was 62.5, restricted 3-year-olds turf race. Here's my feeling. I think this is a complete total prep for this race. I have seen Bill Mott and Junior Alvarado do this many, many times, where Mott will put a turf race into a horse, bring them back on dirt. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the stat. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what this stat is. I did not prep for this particular stat. I'm sort of curious myself because I know that he's good. Let's see what happens when he goes turf to dirt. Again, I have no idea what this is going to show, but I think it's going to be decent. All right, it's only 13%, not great, but it is 44% in the money. And I know he's done this a lot with Junior Alvarado. You can see here Junior Alvarado on the right side of the screen, Junior Alvarado. So listen, this combination has done this turf to dirt angle many times. She's also only in her second start of her 3-year-old year. I'm not saying Malibu Luna is going to win by 5, but I would absolutely use Malibu Luna underneath in tries, and I'm also using her as a B as a possible price play if the pace does collapse in this race. I'm also going to use the 1 as a C, Bayshore Foxes, who also might get a nice trip, especially if she races back to her first win on the slop at Oaklawn. And I'm also going to go ahead and use the 7 Greatest Love, Irad, Maggie Moss as a C. I can make the argument that you could upgrade Greatest Love to a B. Again, in this race, the problem is there's quite a bit of speed in this race, and the 6, Easy to Bless, and the 8, Patty H, to me, look like the best speed. So it's hard for me to believe that any other horses really have a chance to win this race, except maybe the 5, my sort of sneaky price play, if the pace develops. Let's see what people have to think about my selections there. Let's see. Paul, thank you very much for joining the show. I know, Paul, by the way, thanks for sending out a tweet regarding the show. I got some good response and some good follows on that. So thank you, Paul. Let's see what Joe has to say. Joe's talking about the turf to dirt angle that Safi said he expressly put is wearing today on a turf race solely for fitness. Exactly, Joe. These trainers do that. All right. So if you see a dirt horse on the turf and they run poorly, do not necessarily toss. Joe mentioned that Safi said that in a post-race interview with Maggie. So thank you, Joe, for that information. Listen, you see a lot of trainers do that. I think it's something very interesting to see. Let's go ahead on to the next race. Again, we're already running a little longer than I apologize. I'll be quick here. I would take a stand in the pick five a little bit here. Uh, Leg four is on the inner turf mile race. It's the grade 3 Forbidden Apple Stakes. It's a really nice field. I'll be a little more brief here. There's a few horses that can win this race. Let me switch my picks so you can see. It's a competitive race, but I have one single A, and that's the 3 value proposition, who we'll talk about here in a minute. I've got the 1-9 as B's. I have the 7-8 there as C's. The number 3 value proposition for Chad Brown, 5-year-old in IRAD, is in raging form. Won much easier than it looks last time over Analyze It and Therapist. Almost, you see, two back, lost just barely to Casa Creed and Front Run the Fed, two very good horses. Of course, Casa Creed came back and won the Jaipur, if you remember, on Belmont Day at a price. So value proposition has been facing good horses. I only have one concern, and one concern only, and that is this horse better going one turn? That last race is one turn. In fact, a lot of these races have been one turn. You have to go back to 2019 for the last time value proposition went two turns, but he was racing well then. I'm going to trust Chad Brown. This is my lone A in the pick five. The other two horses I would use is Rinaldi. And listen, if speed is holding up, I don't see how you can't use this horse. Really good form. You know size is going to go. This is a New York bred, probably not as classy as some others, but barely lost to Delaware and Therapist in his last two. If he guns to the lead, like I'm sure he is, and they start leaving horses alone, this horse can win. The other horse I would use as a B is the 9 Sacred Life. This is the other Chad. Chad Brown did say that he thinks Sacred Life might want to go further. So keep that in mind. Obviously, the 9 can win, but Chad Brown did say that Sacred Life might be a little better going further. Sanctuary City, by the way, is in fine form, but I think a bit cheaper. Delaware I have as a C. I'm a little bit sick of his act. He did win two back. I'm really sick of the act of another horse that I'm drawing a blank on. Excuse me. Nope. I can't remember the of who I was thinking about. I apologize. But anyway, value proposition is my lone A in this race. If I had to, single a horse and a caveman ticket, I would go with value proposition in the Forbidden Apple. The last race of the sequence is 5.5 furlongs on the turf. It's for state-bred fillies and mares, older fillies and mares. Let me go ahead and show you my picks there. I have 1-6 as my A's, and I have only the 4 as a B. So I'm going pretty skinny in the last race. That's always dangerous because it is a turf sprint. Let me show you my opinions here of why. The 1 is a very interesting first-time starter. Now, first-time starters, not always great in turf sprints, and inside is tricky. So I will readily admit this is a bit of a tricky spot for the 1, Bowdy Move On. But this horse is by Twirling Candy out of a Holy Bull mare. This horse is bred very well. You can see that Awesome Bull had a decent amount of speed early, and you can also see that the Awesome Bull, again, this is the dam, has had some babies. 4 of those babies were in turf sprints, and 2 of them won. So I'm just going to go the siblings of the mare. You can see Awesome News won 344,000. She was a quick horse. You've got Mango M won 177,000, mainly on the turf, sort of middle distance sprinting. Um, Zip That Bull was a fast horse early. So I believe, and again, the one is a tricky spot, but I think Junior Ortiz is going to be sending hard. This filly costs $260,000. That is a very pricey New York bred. I have a feeling this horse is going to be very live. I'm using her as an A. The other horse I'm going to use as an A is the 6, Uncle's Gem, who was in the same race with You Should Be Dancing. I'm not going to show the replay, but she did get a little bit of a rough trip. She was bumped, and then she was a little bit wide. She is a 4-year-old, so I'm not a huge fan of that, but Linda Rice, much better with her second time starters. Let's go ahead and take a look at that stat. Linda, second time starters. I know this is going to be a good stat for her. You can see 27% Linda Rice, 57% in the money. So Linda Rice is much better second out for Charles Fickey and IRAD. That's my angle there. Those are my two A's. The only other horse I would use is the 4, You Should Be Dancing, who is coming out of the same race as the 6, Uncle's Gem, and ran better in theory. But my thinking here is the 4 is already 0 for 7. Unless the 4 is just that much better as a 3-year-old, I like the 6 better. But you can certainly make the argument that the 4 is more likable winner. I just don't like the 0 for 7, and I like Linda's second time out, and I think the 6 has much more upside than the 4. But in general, I also think the 1, Bowdy Move On, is going to be very live in that race in the closing leg. Let me go ahead and take that banner off. And let's see if we have some people commenting. Again, thank you very much for joining the show tonight. I appreciate it. Paul Halloran says the 2 is likely going to scratch because the barn's got some issues with their horses. Thank you, Paul, for that information. And Jeff Moore also wanted to state that Bond is sneaky good at the spa. Sure. Listen, Bond is very capable of winning at any time for sure. I have a lot of respect for Bond in the right particular spot. I do not have a caveman ticket that I have. Actually, I do have a caveman ticket. I thought I typed it out, but actually, looking, I did type it out. Okay, I did. Wow. Okay, there it is. Let me go back and take this off screen. Let's go full screen here. There's my caveman ticket. I've got 2457. You can see on the bottom of the screen. Feel free to write it down. If you're watching this tomorrow morning or before late pick 5, there it is. Now, again, I'm an ABC Ticketmaker player. I do not play caveman tickets. Full disclosure, the early pick 5 today, oh, I I lost, I think it was race 3 on a most ridiculous bar by like this much. I had the 12 in my pick 5 as an extreme backup C. If you know the race, you know what I'm talking about. The Knucklehead Noda Smiling Brian horse, who I hated, got the Dream Trip of a Century and a Bob of a Century, and all my other horses that I liked got horrible trips and were wide. It was just one of those nightmare situations. What are you gonna do? But anyway, I almost hit the early pick 5 for 1,000. Late pick 5, admittedly, I was not as good at. Hopefully, we can hit this pick 5 tomorrow. If you had any success today in your pick 5s, let us know. But there's my caveman ticket. If I had to play a little small caveman ticket tomorrow in the late pick 5, there would be my ticket. I would just go for it with the 3 value proposition for Chad Brown as my single. Obviously, I'd spread a lot more, though, personally, in tomorrow's pick 5. Let's see. Yeah, Frank. Again, if you watch the race, and then Andy Serling's got to mush me. By the way, I love Andy. Listen to this. Are you ready? Real quick. If you watch the Holden Ira broadcast, I don't know if you noticed, there was a time earlier in his broadcast during the races where they went back to him live, and he was actually on his phone and then looked up real quick. And literally 30 seconds before that, I got a tweet from Andy. I think he was answering one of my tweets and didn't know he was on air. So thanks, Andy, for tweeting me. If you end up watching this, but I think he was actually tweeting me because I got a tweet literally 20 seconds after they showed him sort of getting off his phone. That cracked me up. I don't know if anyone noticed that, but I really believe that he was tweeting me. But yeah, Frank, that was an absolutely brutal Bob. But listen, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to moan. I'm not going to kvetch. I'm not going to, because listen, it'll happen the other way. We all get, bad beats. We all are going to get great bobs. That is that's the way the game goes. And I don't know. I got to tell you though, Joe, when I watched it live, I actually thought the 3-1 because I saw the bob. I'm like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. Um, I'm not a huge fan. I have no problem with Orlando Noda, by the way. My only issue is the ridiculous amount of celebration they do after they win. Like they're yelling and screaming like little children. The only thing I would say is, I put this on Twitter, hashtag act like you've been there before. My favorite football player of all time, Walter Payton for the Chicago Bears, most of the time, I know it's a different era. I get it. Most of the time, he'd just hand the football back to the referee and then celebrate with his teammates. I just wish the Noda brothers would just cool their act a little bit after a win, but I have no problem with them in general. I like excitement in the game. I just think they go a little bit overboard personally. Anyway, there's my caveman pick five. Listen, I wanted to keep the show short. I only went on for 38 minutes. Again, thank you very much for joining me tonight. If you're watching this tomorrow, Friday morning, or early afternoon before the pick five, again, I'll be on 9 o'clock Eastern again tomorrow, Friday night, and Saturday night. It'll be very short, very informative. Hopefully, you crush those late pick fives. We want to see everyone win at Saratoga. It's a long meet. Be patient. You never know what's going to happen. It's not easy to hit these tickets. So again, if you didn't win tonight, hopefully you're going to win tomorrow. Thanks for joining the HHH Racing Podcast segment number 1 for day 2 of live pick fives at the spa. Thanks for joining me tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern. Crush that pick five tomorrow. Take care. Good night, everyone.